Good evening. This is CTV News for Tuesday, May 3rd. I'm Patricia Vallone.
And I'm Denise Douglas. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Metropolitan Police say a man hijacks a bus with passengers on board this morning in Northeast D.C. That was a Metro bus, and it ends with the death of a pedestrian. CTV's Sonia Shrivastava has more.
Incredibly scary situation here in the district today. The Metro bus that you see behind me, police tell us that an adult man, got on the bus, attacked the driver, and essentially pushed the driver out of that bus and then took over. It started around 10:30 this morning. An adult male boarded this bus in the 3800 block of J Street in Northeast. When it arrived at the next stop, the man attacked the driver with an unknown weapon.
He and the bus driver became involved in an altercation or struggle ensued, at which time the bus driver was relieved from the bus, was forced from the bus.
The suspect then drove into this gas station on the corner of Nanny Hellenborough and Minnesota Avenue, where he veered over a curb and struck an employee. The adult male was taken to a hospital where he died.
The passengers that were on the bus at that time also fled from the bus.
The time between the suspect boarding the bus and the incident at the gas station was just 3 minutes. There were multiple small crashes along the way. The driver had pushed the emergency button on the bus, so police arrived quickly and took the lone suspect into custody. Now, police are continuing to investigate this case and will be looking at the prospect of whether this person who hijacked the bus had a mental illness. In the district, I'm Sonia Shrivastava. Back to you.
We are told the driver of the bus suffered a back injury and is expected to recover.
The National Transportation Safety Board releases the probable cause of the 2015 smoke incident near L'Enfant Plaza that killed one woman and injured dozens of others. Today, NTSB officials gave the scathing review of WMATA, first responders, and the Federal Transit Administration, which oversees the rail system. Rochelle Metzger reports.
Whatever could go wrong did on January 12, 2015. That, according to federal transportation investigators, who cite ineffective inspection and maintenance practices as causes of the fatal Metro incident that killed 61-year-old Carol Glover and sickened 91 people.
The accident began with an electrical arcing event associated with power supplied to the third rail of track number 2 in the Yellow Line Tunnel about 2,000 feet south of L'Enfant Plaza Station.
Heavy smoke quickly filled the tunnel, trapping riders, including Glover. Investigators say actions to move the stuck train should have been taken within minutes, but as time passed, power failed, leaving passengers to wait more than 35 minutes for help to arrive.
And the lack of a procedure for shutting down all the ventilation systems on a train from the lead car contributed to the smoke entering the rail cars on train 302.
At a meeting today to complete its findings, the National Transportation Safety Board says the Alexandria woman would still be alive if Metro had followed the proper procedures, noting that 911 dispatchers had not had WMATA training in at least 5 years.
The investigation found that early in the accident, critical information needed to be relayed to emergency responders. While the control center knew that a train was stopped in the tunnel south of L'Enfant Plaza, that information was not clearly relayed to emergency responders.
Members criticized the agency for not having an after-action debrief to see what could be learned from the incident. They say a strong oversight group is needed to force WMATA to make safety its top priority.
I hope that even though today in this meeting we are looking at the past, I hope that the lessons from the past can become an essential part of the future of WMATA.
And the NTSB findings determined the probable cause to be a prolonged short circuit that consumed power system components, resulting from the transit agency's ineffective inspection and maintenance practices. Well, meantime, Prince George's top fire official says he's pleased that the Metro Rail system is beefing up patrols of emergency personnel. Chief Mark Bashore says a fire officer will be working to the safety needs of passengers. WMATA announced yesterday that a liaison will be located at Metro Rail's control center 24 hours a day. This change comes less than 2 weeks after a fire broke out between the Red Line's Van Ness and Medical Center stations.
If you were out or even inside, you know that heavy rain and wind hit the area last night. The storm took down trees and scattered leaves in several communities. Take a look at the damage left on this house on Sugar Maple Terrace in Largo. You can see a tree in the backyard hit the roof, cutting it in two. The homeowner described to us how it happened.
Well, after the storm, a tree went down across the back of the house. Just went straight down across my bedroom.
What did it sound like from inside?
I was not here, fortunately. Had I been here, I would have been in the bedroom, in the bed, and I'd be dead. But I went to pay my tax preparer, and they saved my life.
We had several bouts with thunderstorms, some with extremely heavy rain and high winds. There was one particular time period around 9:15, 9:30 in the evening that we experienced an influx of calls, especially those involving trees down. We had about 5 trees that fell during that storm in that time period, mostly in the Bowie, Glendale, Upper Marlboro, Largo area.
Now, luckily, no one was hurt in last night's storms. One other little note, the Department of Parks and Recreation has closed the Glen Arden Community Center and Teresa Banks Aquatic Center due to a power outage. Baltimore City's election chief is defending the integrity of last week's primary amid allegations of voting irregularities. Those allegations come from political activists who took to the streets this morning to protest. Reverend C.V. Witherspoon, who was a lead protester following the Freddie Gray killing, is asking for Governor Hogan to stop the certification of election results because of irregularities in votes. The elections board chief dismissed the allegations, saying his staff carried out their duties properly and that more than 11,000 provisional and absentee ballots are still being processed. The State Board of Elections says it expects the final results to be certified by Friday.
You may recall the Prince George's school system formed a student safety task force back in February. The move came after Deontay Caraway, a teacher's assistant at Judge Sylvania Woods Elementary School, was accused of victimizing more than a dozen students in a child pornography case. The task force is currently reviewing current policies and procedures on how child abuse is handled. We have learned that its findings and recommendations will be released in May. A Greenbelt man filed a complaint with the state alleging that the task force is in violation of Maryland's open meetings law. And you are watching CTV News. I'm Patricia Vallone.
And I'm Denise Douglas.